What's up, everybody? This is Alex Christoforou with the Duran, and I have with me Alexander Mercouris, editor-in-chief of the Duran. And today we're going to be taking a look at Trump's declassification of the FISA documents and more Lisa Page texts. All right, two parallel stories, but both very related. One of them, Lisa Page's text, I think blows apart what little hope there was on the establishment left and the liberal left that there was some sort of Trump-Russia collusion. That's my opinion. I would like you to address that, Alexander. And the second story, which is related, is that Trump is declassifying those FISA documents and many of the documents that were heavily redacted. So we're going to be taking a look at exactly what the FBI, James Comey and McCabe and all these guys were mixed up in. And I think, and of course I'm also giving my prediction and my opinion, I think those two will blow apart even more the Trump-Russia collusion, what I call a hoax. So Alexander, jump right into it on these two different stories, but very related.
Well, first of all, you said your opinion that it's a hoax. I think we can now say definitely it is a hoax, because the outcome of what Lisa Page's texts and her testimony, I mean, she's given sworn testimony about this show, is that the FBI had no evidence of collusion. I mean, there was no evidence of collusion when Robert Mueller was appointed special counsel. So he was appointed special counsel after, almost a year of exhaustive investigations led by her boyfriend, Peter Strzok, let us not forget. That investigation had produced nothing. And yet we had special counsel appointed, maneuvered by James Comey, pressured by the Democrats in Congress, demanded by the media, with an authorization from Rod Rosenstein, the Deputy Attorney General, which has never been made public, to investigate something of which there was no evidence. Nothing was found. So, I mean, you say a hoax. There is your opinion that it's a hoax. I don't think it's an opinion anymore. I think we can call it a fact. The whole thing was a fact. It was a hoax. And what a hoax. And what a disaster. What an absolute disaster for the United States. We've had a whole year and a bit since then of more and more investigations looking into something which it is now known they always knew did not exist. And we've had people like Flynn, like Papadopoulos, coming away with criminal convictions about this. And Paul Manafort, of course, being convicted. Carter Page and all these people. I mean, all these people have been, put through the grinder over absolutely nothing, over zero. And I mean, it's a hoax and it's a scandal. I mean, it's a huge scandal. And, well, let's now talk about the other big scandal, because, of course, this is the thing that I have always said. And I said that, and we were talking about this, both of us were talking about this, back in March 2017. Well before Mueller was appointed, we were saying this thing was a hoax, and that this whole thing was intended to divert attention from the real scandal, which is that American citizens on no evidence were being placed under surveillance by the US intelligence community, first and foremost by the FBI. We now know that there were FISA warrants on Carter Page, and the Democrats and the Justice Department and the FBI have fought tooth and nail to prevent us seeing those FISA warrants. We know a bit about what's in those FISA warrants because Representative Nunes and Representative Gowdy, on behalf of the House Intelligence Committee, did a memo in which they discussed some of the contents of those FISA warrants, and pretty awful it was. And we got a very partial and selective release of those warrants. And now, of course, Donald Trump is going to have them declassified, and we will see the horrible truth which is that on the basis of rumor and gossip and innuendo put together by a former British spy, Christopher Steele, paid for by Fusion GPS, paid for by Hillary Clinton and the Democrats, innocent Americans like Carter Page were placed under surveillance. And that was only a part of what was going on during that election. And that is the real scandal of the 2016 election. And this hoax that we've been talking about is a huge diversionary exercise to keep us away from seeing that.
A chain of a group of spies in the UK, from Steele to Professor Mifsud to Stephen Halper, baiting these guys like Papadopoulos and Carter Page into what essentially has now been ruining their life. I mean, they've ruined these guys' life over a hoax, over games. But how do I know that this is? I can't wait for these documents to be released. Is because Adam Schiff came out, and everything's been turned upside down. You have the Democrats, one of the leading Democrat guys, Adam Schiff, who I consider a complete bozo. Anyway, this guy comes out and he blasts President Trump because he wants to release these documents unredacted and shed some light and be more transparent. This is the Democrats who want to subscribe to secrecy.
Well, can I just say something? Because Adam Schiff has problems of his own, because I talked about that memo that Nunes and Gowdy put together. Of course, Adam Schiff then produced his own memo, which actually, if you read it very carefully, it didn't actually disprove any of the things that Nunes and Gowdy said. But of course, he gave the impression that it did. And now, of course, what's going to happen is we're going to have the actual warrant declassified, and we're going to be able to see who it was who was telling it straight and true. Was it Nunes and Gowdy, or was it Schiff? And I have absolutely no doubt that it wasn't Schiff. And so, of course, he is very embarrassed. And of course, he wants it all to be kept secret. Because if it's not kept secret, well, we will all see, everybody will be able to see in Congress, in the media, in the country, even if a lot of people won't talk about it, exactly what sort of a person Adam Schiff is. And you expressed your feelings about him very strongly. I could express my feelings even more strongly. I won't, because this is television, and so I don't want to do that.
YouTube. He is a bozo. He is a bozo. There's no doubt about it. Tucker Carlson made him look like a bozo too. But
absolutely,
Alexander, why did Trump decide to move forward with this step of releasing these unredacted documents now, a couple of months before the midterm? What do you make of the timing of it? The Kavanaugh hearings, all of this stuff going on.
Yeah, I know. I think he's come under some pressure from House Republicans who wanted him to do that and have been pressing him to do this for some time, because they've got these very difficult congressional elections coming up in November. And I think they want to turn the focus back away from these non-stories that we've been hearing over the summer about Michael Cohen. Remember him? I mean, that story sort of has vanished, but I mean, it created some sort of a stir at one point. Paul Manafort. Nothing to do with Trump, nothing to do with collusion, but I mean, it's garnered a lot of headlines. I think they want to focus it all back on where the real scandal is. So when they go and knock on doors during the campaign and they get all these requests and comments about, you know, what's Trump doing and why did all this happen? Well, they've got ammunition to respond, and I think that's why now and where the pressure for it has come from. And of course, Donald Trump has a personal interest in all of this because it was his campaign which has been placed under surveillance.
How does this affect the DOJ, Rosenstein, and these guys who are also part of this this cabal of no good swamp guys who are trying to undermine Trump? Because it's not only the FBI that's the Comeys and the McCabe's and the Strzoks and these guys that were spying on people and trying to undermine Trump's presidency. You also have a faction in the DOJ as well, most importantly Rosenstein, who's, I would say, and you've said it as well, a main character in this hoax? How do these documents affect him?
Rosenstein is the linchpin because he is Mueller's boss. I don't think people understand that, but he wrote this memo setting out what Mueller's instructions are. It turns out this memo is secret, the one that was published and which you see on the DOJ website, and which I wrote one of my most unfortunate articles about because I took it as true. And I should have realized that with these people, you should never assume that anything they say or write is true. It turned out that a memo that he published on the DOJ website is actually not, it's fake. The real one is secret, and he's keeping it secret. He is the linchpin to this thing. He is the person who is controlling everything. And he was involved, it turns out, even before Mueller was appointed. He was signing off some of these FISA warrants. What is going to happen to all of these people? Well, I'm going to say something. I think if by some chance the Republicans hold on to the House in November, and even if they don't, actually, I think there's a fairly strong chance that Trump is going to sack Jeff Sessions, and he's going to bring his own man into appoint his own man as Attorney General. It's important to remember that it's the Senate Republicans who have to decide whether or not to approve Trump's choice. So even if the Republicans lose the House, if the Republicans in the Senate stand behind Trump and the Republicans are expected to hold the Senate, then, as I said, Trump can get Sessions fired and someone else put in. If that happens, then I see this whole thing collapsing very quickly. Rosenstein, Mueller, all the rest getting sacked. I would not be surprised, and there's been some pressure from within the Senate and from the Republicans of the Senate for special counsel to be appointed. And I would not be surprised if before the end of Trump's first term, we start seeing prosecutions of these people, of people like Comey, of people like Strzok, of all of the rest of them, with perhaps the big targets ultimately being Sally Yates and Loretta Lynch, who were running the Justice Department, and Brennan, who was running the CIA. Even if that doesn't happen, even if we don't get that situation after November, I think it will happen eventually, because this is so bad and so many Republicans know it, that regardless of what happens in the end, they will not forgive it, and they will come after these people sooner or later. And God knows there's enough to come up after them for eventually. So sooner or later, I didn't always believe this, but sooner or later, I think we're going to see criminal investigations, people being prosecuted, charges of obstruction of justice and abuse of power being brought. I'm sure crimes have been committed here. I've no doubt of it, actually. In fact, I can identify some of them. And we will see people going to jail.
All roads lead to Lynch and Clinton, and that explains the whole tarmac meeting. And those two were the ones that were heading everything. And Obama was in the know. I think there's no doubt about it.
I have no doubt at all. Can I just say something about that Lynch-Clinton meeting? Because I think that's a key event, actually. Because, of course, the official story is that their two jets were parked alongside, and Clinton came along and spoke to Loretta Lynch, and they didn't discuss anything. That is, first of all, I'm not sure that's even true. But the point is, people overlook what a godfatherish thing that is. That is Bill Clinton coming along and speaking to the Attorney General of the United States at the time when the Justice Department and the FBI are investigating his wife. And that was, I think, a way of Bill Clinton saying to Loretta Lynch, even if not so many words, look how powerful I am. Look how strong I am. Look how brazen I can be. You don't dare go against me. That was an extremely sinister incident, and I think you're absolutely right to put your finger on it.
Let's go. Yeah. Do you want to say something?
No, I mean, I was just going to say, it reminds me of, the scene in The Godfather where the man wakes up with the head of the horse in his bed. It had that kind of quality to it.
Well, they don't call it the Clinton Mafia for nothing. That's for sure. And let's finish up by going back to Lisa Page. Do you think Lisa Page broke ranks and threw her ex-lover, her ex-boyfriend, and all of her cohorts under the bus?
I think Lisa Page probably is very angry with Peter Strzok. I mean, some of the last text messages suggest that. Apparently, she said to him at some point, "You're not going to contact me anymore, and that's it, and our relationship is over." And, she apparently said even stronger things. So I think the two of them fell out. But I would like to believe something else. I think, first of all, I don't think she wants to go to prison. She's a lawyer. She understands that a lot of things that went on were wrong. But maybe I am naive here. Maybe, I'm somebody who likes to believe that there is some honor in people. Perhaps at some level, she senses and feels, as a lawyer who worked in the Justice Department, that things were done which she was involved in, which were very wrong. And she doesn't want to be a part of it, and she wants to tell the truth. So let's give her the benefit of the doubt. At least I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt. Perhaps others won't. But, I'm sometimes, well, I wouldn't say a sucker for these things, but at least I'm prepared to be generous. Let's put it like that.
Well, let's give her the benefit of the doubt then. Either way, she has shed some light as to...
she shed a lot of light, actually. She shed a lot of light. I mean, we've learned an awful lot from Lisa Page. I mean, obviously a lot from her text messages. But as I said, I mean, some of the things that she said to Congress in sworn testimony have been really very interesting.
She definitely did not have the arrogance. I mean, she didn't testify. We don't know. She didn't testify live. But from what we understand, she did not have the arrogance that Peter Strzok exhibited.
No, she didn't. And as I said, so far as one can tell, I mean, she's broadly speaking, telling the truth. At least that's the impression I'm getting. At least part of the truth, maybe not all of it. But at this stage, as I said, she's sort of cooperating.
Well, we're going to get a whole lot of truth real soon when those documents come out.
I think we will.
When do you think they'll be out, Alexander?
I guess very fast. I guess within a week. Okay. I'd be surprised if it was any longer than that. Maybe even sooner. Maybe by Friday.
We'll be covering it. That's for sure.
We will certainly.
I'm sure you're interested to read it as well and to give your thoughts.
Oh, I will be going through it with a magnifying glass, actually with a microscope.
Excellent. Alexander Mercouris, Editor-in-Chief of the Duran. Thank you very much. Guys, if you like this video, click on the subscribe button down below and click on the notifications bell to get notifications every time we push out a new video. And visit the Duran shop, pick up a t-shirt, help support the Duran. And down in the description, you'll see links to our Patreon page and our PayPal page. Please donate, help support the Duran, and help support broadcasts like this one that you just saw. Alexander Mercouris, Editor-in-Chief of the Duran. Thank you. Until next time, guys, take care.